Hi all. Right, welcome back to something. Uh, yeah, you'll see that there's just a plain table here. I was going to lay a game down, but I'm not sure what this video is going to be called. I might just leave it on my channel, just as a discussion about just what next game I wanted to set up on this table here. I still have Red Storm going on across there. This tripod's getting a bit iffy, to be honest. Um, yeah, it's still there, and I'm going back across for a shot after I've just recorded this. But it was just to kind of find out what I wanted to try and do next. I've been thinking about a few things, and from the war game side of things, the solo war game side of things, there's a few things been on my mind. I won't bring back out. I definitely going to do playthrough of DD at Tarawa and DD at Pelelu. Definitely going to do them at some point. Kind of saving them up for a rainy day or something. Because really looking forward to getting them at the table again. So they're definites, but I'm not going to show them here. So yeah, so what are you going to show, Grant? Well, here's some of my thoughts. There's two or three games that have came to light on a tactical sort of front. I'm just not that sure that it's my cup of tea, the tactical side of things. I think I'm sort of more in between at the sort of operational side. I think that's what the enemy action series is. I'm not quite 100% sure how all these are categorised, but I think that's how it kind of works out. And then when you go to strategic, I suppose, what have I got strategic wise? I've got Unconditional Surrender. That's a two-player game, though, but looks a great game. Would love to have got into it. So I think that's more strategic sort of skill. Is there a solo kind of strategic side of things? I've got Emperor's Son. It's still sitting at the side there. I guess maybe it is classed as that as well, isn't it? But I struggled a bit with the solo side of that. Still not completely given up on it though. I may return to that one day. I don't think there is anything. But there's quite a few tactical games, and well, every time I've struggled a bit to get into these. Well, let me start with one of the very first games that, and I think this is within this scale. I think this is a tactical scale game. Again, I'm not 100% sure how all that works out. Like I guess it depends on the counter size that you're using. You know, if you're using platoons or armies or corps or whatever it is, or yeah. I think depending on that, I think that's how it works. So well, this is a game that I got way back when I first started, to be honest. So yeah, this is kind of big box. So Conflict of Heroes. Got this way back when I first got into the hobby. Maybe not the first. That wouldn't be one. Be one of the first games I got. Probably. I want to say it might have been the first war game. That the only one that could have maybe stood up against it might have been Thunderbolt Apache Leader with DVG. So I'm not sure exactly. And to be honest, it might have been Thunderbolt Apache Leader because this is a two-player game. Now this is the second edition of this. However, they released this to go with it. And then when I seen that, I was like, yeah, okay, this is more for me. Yeah, you'll notice Mr. Butterfield's name there on the front, look. So that gives you an idea. I mean, I think he obviously had some input in it and whatever, and it's a great system. It really is. I think even now it stands up as being a really good solo experience. So this was one of the first games, and like I say, I think this is sort of tactical. I could open things up and I don't think I'll open it up and delve into it, but the counters are. I mean, yeah, they're just individual sort of maybe platoons or companies or whatever they are. Or whatever. Anyway, I hadn't thought about maybe doing. Well, I thought one day I would do a recording of this. Now this is a game that I have played, so I have played through this now. It's quite a time ago since I played it, So the fact that I started thinking about this possibly coming back to the table again, I thought, right, well, I'm probably going to have to reread the rules and whatever. But I had played through. Now, I had played through all the scenarios, I think. I want to say there was maybe. Well, you know what? I'm maybe guessing here. There's 10 scenarios. There's not. It turns into there's. I think 2 campaign scenarios. I think I started playing one of the campaign scenarios and that and that. Anyway, it was really good. It is really well done. The cards that operate the solar system, just brilliant. And it doesn't leave anything. I mean, yeah, there's been a lot of questions. I'm guessing there's quite a lot of questions. I probably asked some questions myself back in the day about on the forums for the game, getting things completely right about unit furthest from, unit nearest to. It goes into all that. I'm not going to bring things out because I've got a few games just to show here just to see what I might be doing next because I've still not decided myself. Now the one sort of downside to this is there's a 3rd edition of this out now, which I don't have obviously. It's just the 2nd edition. They changed the rules quite a bit, and I think it was mainly about how your units become spent. Before you got so many points. I would say you got 7 action points or whatever it was they called. And once you'd spent all them, your unit was spent. But I think that could be gamed a little bit against your opponent. You could play about with that a bit. So now I think they've got a dice roll which tells if they've been spent. Now this might have came from the solo expansion because in the solo expansion, I'm just wondering how it is the human player operates. So it must be under the same sort of way, isn't it? It must get so many points. No, is the cards drawn that decide if we're spent as well? I think it is. Yeah, the cards are drawn, so similar to rolling a dice. A card's drawn, depending on the value of the card, it will tell you if the unit's spent or not. So I think with that, and then they realised that was maybe a better way of doing it. I think that's why they changed some of the rules in the 3rd edition. I don't have any of the 3rd edition rules. I've only got the rules that came in this. Now, I know they were updated a little bit, but I mean, I would play with them, but I wouldn't be playing with 3rd edition rules. So that kind of because of all that, I thought, yeah, do I want to dive into that? But a plus side to playing this game is I have played it before. The couple of minuses are I would probably need to brush up on the rules again, so I'd probably be starting as if I didn't look like I knew how to play the game, to be honest. And then the other thing is that, I did sort of think, should I play with the 3rd edition rules? Well, I thought, I've not got that rule book. I don't want to start printing out new rule books. I would try and play with the updated solo side of things, but I think I would just play with the 2nd edition rules. So, anyway, that was, to be honest, not my first thought of what to play, but I thought, after the other 2-3 games that I was going to show first, I thought, why not just come back to, you liked this game, why not come back and play Conflict of Heroes again? So anyway, that's a thought. So this was another game that I bought. Probably, it took a while. I think I had to wait on a new release of this coming out. Here's the Normandy by Lock and Load, the Lock and Load tactical system, and I got this because I knew this was coming out at the time with it. Obviously, I am just a solo war gamer, so I thought, okay, and they actually based this solo system from, they actually taken it from the Conflict of Heroes. In fact, I think they were allowed to use the sort of, the way it works, if you like, and whether they all work together to do this system or not, I'm not sure. However, I've tried to get into this, and this is the game that tells me I'm not sure that the tactical side of things is for me. I have tried to get into this a bit. I think I tried to get into it before I got this, but as I've always said, I find it really hard to play 2-player games solo. But when they brought this out, I thought, well, okay, that solves the problem of it. I've tried to use this a couple of times to play this, and well, there's 2 things that bother me. Like I say, it could well be that the tactical side of things just isn't my cup of tea. But the other thing is, this isn't implemented as well as Conflict of Heroes. And what what they done with this was they made this solo version so it's compatible with all versions of the Lock and Load tactical system. So not just Heroes of Normandy, it covers them all, which is great if you've got all the games. However, it's too loose. It's not tight enough. Like Conflict of Heroes solo expansion is just for that game. I mean, you've got that's Conflict of Heroes Awakening the Bear. I've got there's Storms of Steel, and there's another one, isn't there? Guadalcanal, I think. You can't use that solo system for them. Whereas with this, you can use the solo system for Heroes of Normandy, Heroes of whatever the other ones are. All the other ones you can use the solo system for. But I found when I first tried it, it just was too. It left you with decisions to make, and I'm always been against that. The solo side, I don't want to make decisions. It turns it into just you don't have that, and you're just playing it as both sides. You know, I mean, that's a bit too critical. You know, it does help you in the way to do it. But I haven't really spent enough time on it to sort of say that it doesn't work. And but I just couldn't quite get into it. Not the way like I could with Conflict of Heroes. Anyway. But another thing with this is I've got this version of Heroes of Normandy, which has got rulebook, whatever. See, is it on the top? No, it's not. It's buried somewhere. The rulebook is whatever version of the rulebook I've got is not the most up to date one. They brought out a brand new rule set. It was going to cost another bucket load of money to buy the actual book. I think it's in a ring binder kind of volume, and I would have liked to have got that. I think they updated the solo rules as well, so maybe that's made things better. But I just didn't feel like this was the right one, maybe for me, and it certainly wasn't the same as my experience with Conflict of Heroes. So, but however, more recently, I'd been looking at this for quite a long time. So this is the game that I had initially thought I was going to set up. Normandy, the beginning and the end, and I managed to get this. It was quite hard to get both of these. One of them was quite pricey. I think was it the one in the Storm expansion I got one of them second hand. No, I think it was this I got second hand. I got that new, but I got it at a really good price actually. I was kind of lucky. This is made by Draco Ideas. Now they are let me get this right. They're the Spanish company, aren't they? I've got the Spanish game, and I think the other one's Italian. Yeah, this is Spanish, I think. So most of the stuff out there in videos and whatever, there's not an awful lot. There's quite a bit of it in Spanish, which is no good to me, I'm afraid, video-wise, to look up in the game or whatever. This looks pretty similar to Heroes of Normandy. Okay, and it's similar. It looks the same. The maps are similar. The counters maybe different, but same sort of scale, tactical scale. And but this, however, when I read some of the rules on this before I actually pulled the plug and bought it, looked quite impressive. The rules for this look great. They look really interesting, and I'm really hoping, and that's why I wanted to try and play this one, because the rules just look like there's a lot more to it. Just glancing at it, there's no point in me showing you things here. There's a lot more to the solo side of it. Now, it's not driven by cards, as is the Heroes of Normandy and also Conflict of Heroes. There's no cards in this. But it does look, I think, certain chips maybe drawn from a cup and whatever. But there's the rules to drive the solo system look really impressive. Like, now, again, this is a game I haven't tried yet. So again, it was another one I was going to sit and fiddle about with first, and then I thought, do I just like set it up and play it on camera and see how we get on and whatever with it. So I'm not sure, but even looking at it still gave me that feeling like, do I really, is the tactical sort of scale my cup of tea, because I was kind of looking and thinking, yeah, it's all a bit too close, and yeah, I just not really sure about it. But this was the one I got most recently, and initially this is what I was going to play. But that the reason I showed you Conflict of Heroes and Heroes of Normandy is there's similar types of games, whereas Heroes of Normandy didn't work for me, Conflict of Heroes did. I'm not saying I've completely given up on Heroes of Normandy. I might go back to it one day, and especially the fact that they've altered the solo rules a bit. I think there was a lot of people sort of thinking that it could be sort of tightened up a bit and whatnot. So this was out of the sort of tactical skill games. I was thinking that this was the one I might play, but again, haven't played this. Not sure how the solar system does work. It looks interesting. It looks very interesting. I like the idea. Although when I was setting up, I was playing just setting up for one of the historical scenarios, and I was a wee bit annoyed that. Well, it's not really. I'm setting up as a historical scenario. If you set it up as a non-historical scenario, whatever it is they call it, you get to sort of randomize what units are, and you don't know what they are until you've got to kind of spot the units to find out what they are and whatever. It just I think you recon the units or something like that. It does. It looks really interesting, and I'm swaying towards I think this is going to be what I'm going to give a try to. It might all fail. Who knows? I don't know. I wouldn't like to get into a game. The thing with it is, if I just play as the first sort of scenario, which is going to be the easiest scenario, and if it doesn't gel for me, then I play through that as a playthrough, and then I just sort of say, right, we've gave that a try, it's not working, or maybe come back to it a later date. Right, so a couple of other things that I do want to get to the table at some point. So this was the other one that I got quite recently. I think I may have spoke about this before, and this is made by Dissimula. Whatever. I'm not going to try and pronounce these things. It's but this is an Italian company, I think, that does this one. So there's not an awful lot out there on this one as well, and this is obviously what's 1863? It's Civil War. It's a Civil War one, isn't it? It's not the. I get muddled up with them, which is probably not a good thing to say, because a lot of American people watch these things, I think. Although probably struggle to understand what I'm going on about anyway. They got that is the Civil War, though, isn't it? And it's Chancellors of all campaign. But I looked at the solo again. I'm not going to open up and show things, but the solo set system in this looks really, really clever as well. Again, I haven't got ready to trying it. I've read through all these rule books, by the way. Every game that I've showed you, I've read through rules. I go through the rules, but it's difficult to read a rule book and store all that information and then set up a game and play it without, you know yourself, you can't do that. You can't just have read the rule book, set it up, played it. Most of these games I'm showing you, the rule books are pretty heavy going, just see, this one's maybe not too bad. Well, yeah, 25 pages there. So that's not too bad, but I think there's other charts and this has got a huge map as well. This is the same size map as Red Storm, I think. So that was a bit off-putting as well, because I was trying to set it up. And of course, this is not World War II, which seems to be more the thing that I'm kind of into. But I do have, to be honest, any kind of war game, if it's got some kind of solo way to play it, and it's a complex solo system, the more detailed the better for me. Then I'm going to go and have a look at it. It doesn't really matter when it is, World War 1, 2, Civil War, whatever. If it's got a good solo system, I'm up for giving it a try. So I'd like to try this at some point as well. So I'm going to get round to these. Obviously, you can only do one at a time. Well, here's me saying that. I've got Red Storm up there, so I was planning just a wee bit change of scenery. Sometimes you want to like change. Although I found when I tried that before with a couple of games, one game seems to take over a bit. Obviously the one you're more interested to sit down and down that. You think at the time, what do I fancy, but it's generally the one you're more into, full stop, and then the other one kind of can sit a bit, and you've got to force yourself to come across. But it was just to try and change things up a little bit. Right, another couple of games that I've had this for a while. This is Volume 1. This was the first release of Combat. Again, pretty good game. Now, I have played this a little bit. I did play it a little bit. I was enjoying it. I'm not sure why I didn't carry on with this. I'm not sure why. There's some things that aren't great about it, and I just noticed recently they've talked about, because they released a second print of this, haven't they? There's a completely completely rewritten. Maybe I'm not saying that properly, but the rulebook's been redone, isn't it? So if I did play this again, I think I would use the redone rulebook. But they've also just started Kickstarter, because this is Compass Games, isn't it? I think they're bringing out an update kit map wise, because the maps, I think it was the graphics, the shading in the maps were not great, and I think there was a lot of stuff in the forums about trying to trace line of sight, and it was difficult because of the way they had done the maps. So I think they changed that in the second printing of it. I think they made changes anyway, and the rule book maybe wasn't thought about as being the greatest as well, so they've changed that. So they've kind of completely revamped that. I think this is a very popular game as well. I'm not itching to maybe play this one, but I would like to do it at some point. And of course, there's a volume 2 of this as well, but these weren't cheap. These are really expensive. I tend to find Compass Games, they're not the cheapest, are they? I mean, the two Enemy Action series are from them as well. Not the cheapest games, but there's a lot of stuff in it. There is a lot of stuff. So yeah, maybe it is value for money. I know with the Enemy Action stuff, obviously you're getting 3 different games in one, 3 different maps and whatever. But there is a lot of stuff in this. I get that. But anyway, another one I'm thinking about, but maybe not right now. Okay, and I've always wanted to try and play Combat Commander. So Europe version I've got. Not a one-player game, so it is a 2-player game. Very popular game. Big following for this game, I think. Now, somebody done a solo bought kind of rule system. I haven't really read into it that deeply, but it seems pretty popular, and he's kept it going. Sorry, I've no details on this and whatever. But I always thought I would maybe give that a try. Because there's probably not a lot out there with people playing it solo, well, using that system anyway. There might be people that play the game just, play both sides, But this has got it's played by cards, so I would find that quite difficult, I think. Yeah. Excuse me. Anyway, I always wanted to try and get into the game. Did think I would maybe get a friend that would maybe. Because I don't think it's too complex a game, really, is it? I think the cards are pretty straightforward, although it's a pretty big rule book in it, to be honest. So again, not something I've tinkered with, but never really played as well. But with that solo system out there, it's maybe something I would have a look at down the line. Okay, and this is a definite for me. This is an amazing game. I've talked about it quite often about definitely want to do a recording. There's some itching to do it, to be honest, but wasn't sure how I was going to go about it, because obviously they're redoing the rule book now. It's out there in digital form now, the new rule book. they're bringing out a Fields of Fire Deluxe, which might be a bit. Yeah, they're also bringing out a Fields of Fire Deluxe update kit, which is what I intend to get, which is just going to turn this into Fields of Fire Deluxe, I guess, so that I get the physical copy of the rulebook and any counters that they've had to change about and that. Brilliant game, this, amazing. It really is. Even with this edition, this is the second edition I've got. To be honest, was there a big difference in the rules between the first and second edition? I don't know. There certainly wasn't much difference in Fields of Fire rules to Fields of Fire 2 rules, because I've got that as well, and it's still, I've not even taken the counters out yet, because I just got to a point where there's enough in this game to play, but then they've been talking about it for quite a while about redoing the rules, and it's still a very much playable game without the new rules. It's just very hard you've got to go hunting for the answers. You know, I know most of these complex war games, the forums have got lots of posts about, this rules question. I mean, if you look on Fields of Fire forums, there's, I don't know, I don't want to say how many threads there are, but there'll be in their thousands. There'll be so many thousand anyway, I bet. Just folk trying to get the answers, and me included. I ask lots of questions and got the answers though, but it was difficult, and to be honest, the game designer didn't really frequent the forums that much. It was other people, the playtesters and that seemed to be answering all the questions and whatever. But this is an amazing game, really is. Yeah, I'd love to get that back going again, but I just think maybe I should wait on the update kit coming out before I do. I don't know though, I might not, because we've got the digital version of the rulebook anyway. I don't think there's going to be any changes to that, to the physical rulebook when it comes out. I could be wrong with that. But I haven't really sat down and looked through it all again, and I'd have to sort of read through that rulebook as well, and I think that's the other reason that I think maybe I'll just wait a little bit. By the time I get down to start reading the rules, then it might be closer to this update kit coming out, and I'll maybe just wait for that happening. But yeah, definitely looking forward to another game of this. And finally, there was this that I just got recently. I may have spoke about pre-ordering this a while back. Was looking forward to it. Again, I'm not 100% sure if it's my cup of tea, this kind of thing. Carrier battles and that. I mean, I've got Empire of the Sun. This is nothing like Empire of the Sun, don't get me wrong. But it's in the same area, isn't it? Well, this is maybe just Philippine Sea, whereas Empire of the Sun covers the whole sort of Pacific War, isn't it? Like the Pacific War side of it. Yeah, I don't know if ships and planes flying up and shooting at ships and shooting at other planes is my kind of thing. But this has got a great following. Now, it was obviously based and done by the same designer, John Southard, who made the original. It was just called Carrier, I believe, and it was just a solo game. And by the way, this is just solo only, this game as well. So that's why my interest was there. And folk had always raved about the game Carrier, but I never managed to get a copy of that. And I believe he's also now going to do an updated version of that. And I think that'll be a while yet, but I dare say there's people all excited about that happening as well. So I've watched, there's probably some video, there's quite a bit of video footage out there, because this has just not long come out, and folk are buzzing about it and whatever. I'm excited to try it as well, and this was my second option to possibly just set up on the table and get going, but I think I've decided I might just leave it. I'm not read through the rulebook. Again, it's a game I haven't played yet. There's about 9 or 10 scenarios, I think. but the first 4 are really just simple. Well, they get more complex, I think. But it looks like they're good. They're going to teach you the game. So I thought I would do them, but I don't feel like I should be recording them. And I think the first full scenario is either 5 or 6, where you're doing a full sort of playthrough of it. And obviously, if I was to do a recording on it, I would probably do that. But anyway, there's the games that are sort of on my mind just now. So there's quite a lot. Some of them I'm not. This I would like to get sometime soon-ish. What was the other one? Give Us Victories. I would like to get that sometime soonish as well. And then I think the Normandy, the beginning and end with it, Alone in the Storm expansion as well. But then I'm looking Conflict of Heroes. That'd be nice to play again. I haven't played it for ages, so yeah, that's why I just can't make my mind up what I want to do here, what I want to set up. So yeah, well, I'll just finish it with the blank table again, and I don't know what I'm going to do with this video. I guess maybe just put it up on my channel just as an Grant wondering what to play next. I'm not asking for advice or asking what anybody might want to watch, because I've always said, maybe selfishly, that I do these recordings. My main purpose is for my own enjoyment. I mean, obviously, there's probably a lot of people would like me to do a playthrough of certain one of the games that I've just shown you, to help them understand the game, as well. So obviously that does help, but I'm not going to put this video out there and ask you what you want to see or anything like that. I'm going to decide that one for myself. So if there is something that you're looking forward to maybe watching a bit of, then you just have to hope that I choose that. I want to say it might be one of the... well, you know what? I don't know. We'll leave it to make a decision. Well, to be honest, it was meant to be over this weekend that I was going to set this other thing up, whatever it was. So the table's all ready for that. There's nothing on this table. I've got all day tomorrow and a bit of... It's only... We're only into the evening of Friday evening at the moment. So, and I've got all day tomorrow. Just got the dogs to deal with. Nobody else in the house. So, well, I don't know. I'll make my decision certainly this evening sometime, and whether I title this video with whatever I decide, it's probably best not to. I'll probably best just leaving this up on my channel without a sort of, game title anyway. Just and then I can make my mind up. Okay, well, I'll be back with something else on the table sometime soon anyway. Okay, cheers.